So this is timed at 19:30 hours UK time, 18:30 hours GMT on Friday, the 29th of July 2022. We're starting a few minutes early. Let's see if we can get the introduction in. Today is Friday, the 29th of July 2022, and the main pattern of events in Pakistan and in the UK actually remains the same, essentially. In the UK, the Conservatives are still doing the same thing about staging the election of the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK. And there are only two candidates. One is Liz Truss and the other is Rishi Sunak. And the teams are exchanging maximum possible poison against each other. There is no mention of the country, there is no mention of society, except hitting one another with the fiercest blows. And on the periphery, Gordon Brown, the UK Prime Minister incumbent in the 2 years or so, 3 years after Tony Blair left the scene, has surfaced on The Guardian and is talking about corruption in the Conservative Party, especially by referring to and concentrating on the fact that Boris Johnson is bent on making a number of his friends and cronies and financial donors to the Conservative Party members of the House of Peers, which is the second chamber of the UK Parliament, so-called. It's a parliament that has no constitution. And so therefore this is particularly open to abuse. And the abuse that Johnson is perpetrating against the unconstitutional country is, of course, very unconstitutional, typical. In Pakistan, the Supreme Court decision is being discussed by the Sharif family and the cabal that is represented by Asif Ali Zardari Bimari. But all the deliberations, all these speeches and spiels by the Sharif and the Zardari family or clans are coming across very, very shallow, as they inevitably must. Whereas Imran Khan and his main lieutenant, Shahbaz Gill, have been making statements. Well, Shahbaz Gill made an extensive statement before the news media on Thursday, the 28th of July 2022. And Imran Khan has followed suit, and he has been speaking, and his speech has been broadcast by Qudrat television, amongst others. And both Shahbaz Gill and Imran Khan have been following the themes that they have been pursuing throughout the last few months. And Shahbaz Gill, who is not a mullah, but started his presentation before the media by reciting the Holy Quran and mentioning the name of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he also mentioned essentially the same things that Imran Khan has been mentioning. And the only thing that the other side has been notable about is that one of their supporters has put in a comment on the side of the Qudrat television video that is streaming the broadcast by, or was streaming the broadcast of Shahbaz Gill, saying that Shahbaz Gill is Imran Khan's dog. Now that is abusive, but that is not really high quality, high standard critique of Imran Khan's politics or the mobilization that Imran Khan and the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaaf have been successful in doing. There is no comparable mobilization or presentation by the Sharif or the Zardari Bimari family clans. And this man, mentioned as Maulana Fazlur Rahman, he may be the man that is the kind of big-sized person that appeared in the Pakistan National Assembly on Thursday. And he looked like he was attired in a Muslim attire, Muslim garb, Mullah garb, let's say, not Muslim. But he and his colleagues from the Sharif gangs are coming across as bitter, more bitter than substantial. And they have repeated, of course, the still untested, unverified assertion that Imran Khan stole foreign aid money and so on. But this is something that they are saying, but there is no evidence that they have actually received any vindication to any complaint from a half legitimate forum inside Pakistan, let alone internationally. And in the West, the comments about Imran Khan have not been about any allegation against him of corruption. So the West would be more than happy, more than willing, more than keen and eager to repeat any allegation if they suspected that any of it would have any substance. Their main claim is that Imran Khan is becoming angry and anti-Western, so anti-American. That is quite possible, but they cannot say the same with same force or any force that Imran Khan is a crook or a criminal in the form of Nawaz Sharif or Asir Ali Zardari. So that's Pakistan's situation, and the Supreme Court's ouster of the Punjab provincial chief minister has not been in any way adequately commented on, or let alone criticized by the Muslim League and the Asif Ali Zardari clans or tribes, which means that the main focus of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaaf is now on getting the demand for holding a national election on the table and then pursue it until it is accepted or until the powers that be, that is the incumbent kind of regime, concedes and allows the election to take place. And the focus then would be by PTI that the election must be held freely and fairly. And they're saying that, and they will be saying, as they have been saying, but they will be saying with increasing ferocity, that the current election commission is contaminated. It is contaminated in favor of the Sharif and Zardari kind of interests. So they would be demanding a wholly new or substantially newly constituted Pakistan election commission. That is what I think they would be doing. Whether that would be accepted is another matter. Now, going back to the question of the role played by the Supreme Court in India, there is a kind of response or a statement by one of the Supreme Court judges that has been published on the front page of the Millennial Post that actually publishes from Calcutta and New Delhi. Now, the Millennial Post item is, let's see if we can locate that one. So it's a Millennium Post, not millennial. It's Millennium Post, which has got on the front page this piece by the Supreme Court Judge Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. He says he was down with COVID-19 when the matter was to be heard, a particular case, and he directs it be listed again, saying, otherwise there will be another news item about the fact that the Supreme Court is lazy or whatever. We shall go to the original allegation that Mr. Justice Chandrachud is addressing or rebutting. So the headline in the Millennium Post is that give us a break. Supreme Court slams media for personal attacks on judges. Justice Chandrachud says he was down with COVID when the matter was to be heard. And he directs that the matter be listed again, saying otherwise there will be another news item. Now, it seems to be his focus is that any criticism of the Supreme Court in the media is the more important thing than the actual delivery by Supreme Court of fair, impartial, and tangible access to the judiciary, access to the machinery of the judiciary, to the ordinary people in India. Well, that actually exposes something that has been true for the whole period of the Supreme Court, let's say, from the formation of the Republic of India on the 14th of August 1947 up to now. The Supreme Court in India, the Supreme Court in Bangladesh, and the Supreme Court in Pakistan up to this time that the Supreme Court ousted the Punjab provincial chief minister. These three Supreme Courts, for the duration of each, since each was founded for each of the jurisdiction, has been operating only about 10% to the standards that it should be delivering. 90% has been complicit with the corrupt regime in India, in Pakistan, and in Bangladesh. Now, before I move on to the other topics and go away from the role of the Supreme Courts, let me say that the statement that Imran Khan has been making yesterday, that is Thursday, and today, which has been today's kind of repetition by the Kudrat television, has referred to Bangladesh about 3 times, I think, 3 mentions of Bangladesh. Now, those who don't know about Bangladesh and Pakistan, they need to know that it is not another kind of two countries relationship. Bangladesh was part of Pakistan and Pakistan was part of Bangladesh, and both together were called Pakistan. up to the 16th of December 1971. And the East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh, and West Pakistan, which is all of Pakistan, they were declared independent state of Pakistan a day before India was, which was on the 14th of August 1947. And the reason why they were declared a state of Pakistan was because of the referendum, the actual votes that took place about the formation of the two countries in relation to the departure of the colonial British court power. And Pakistan, it was agreed, would become the country that would be based on the parts of the subcontinent with the highest Muslim population. And India would be constituted with the people parts with the highest Hindu population per capita. Now, this is why people who don't understand the history and they don't, even Bangladeshis, even Pakistanis and Indians don't understand what the Kashmir kind of crisis or dispute is. It is that because Kashmir is absolutely populated by Muslim majority. So by definition, by the standard applied to the rest of the subcontinent, Kashmir belongs with Pakistan as a Muslim majority country. That is the simplest explanation. But this is something that has not been delivered for 75 years by any of the commentators, any of the journalists, the politicians, and most certainly not by any of the Western observers, so called. Now, the other thing I mentioned in the last two broadcasts is that Imran Khan has been talking about Pakistan ka matlab kya, and the answer has been La ilaha illallah. And Tera mera rishta kya, that is again La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasul. Now, this is something that this question is being exercised and kind of discussed by the Tehreek-e-Insaaf initiative in Pakistan, 75 years after the departure of the British in August 1947. Now, this is something that should have taken place, this discussion should have taken place 75 years ago. And it should have taken place right from the beginning in then East Pakistan up to the 16th of December 1971. What was the purpose for which the East Pakistan was together with the West Pakistan? Because if the discussion had taken place with all the evidence, only with all the evidence, then there would be no bloodshed. There would have been hardly any of the hostilities that otherwise marred the 23 years that the East Pakistan and the West Pakistan were together up to the 16th of December 1971. In my broadcast 2 days ago, I said that those who were hailed as the leading kind of front of the so-called youth wing of the liberation war made of Bangladeshis as opposed to Indians have been silent for the last decade and a half since Sheikh Hasina began the regime as a fronter of the Awami League fronted regime. And liars like Abdul Kuffar Chowdhury, who have been providing most of this time completely dishonest, complicit narrative supporting the various collections of claims made in the name of the Hasina fronted regime, that the liberation of Bangladesh was achieved by them, the Awami League, and therefore the independence state of Bangladesh belongs to them as a family property, both of which constitute criminal assertions against the whole of the country. Criminal denial of every single one who died during 1971 in the cause of Bangladesh, and every victim of the Pakistan military which actually murdered and massacred, raped and violated the innocent people of East Pakistan, which became Bangladesh. And it is absolutely astonishing that those so-called youth leaders who became known in a degenerate way by some satirical kind of observer, the Sayyid Khalifa. Those Sayyid Khalifas have been disgracefully silent as criminals. When all the tenets of independence and freedom have been trampled on by the Sikh Hasina-fronted cabal. So, when in the run-up to the December 1970 election, the slogan was mainly based on disparity. So the main item on the list was 20 টাকা মন্দরে চাউল চাই. Now, 20 টাকা মন্দরে চাউল has never been delivered in Bangladesh since 16th of December 1971. And 20 টাকা মন্দরে চাউল will never be available to the people of Bangladesh. But Bangladesh people in the so-called independent, so-called sovereign Republic of Bangladesh have been denied all the promised goodies and benefits and fruits of an independent country. And it's not just Lilliputian, the entirety of the commentariat and the so-called media is based on the crooks and corrupt and ignorant and backward, selfish, greedy, petty individuals. So Bangladesh exists. Bangladesh exists as a kind of as a protectorate by the Hindutva-based India, because Bangladesh doesn't pose any threat to India as opposed to Pakistan posing a threat to India to the extent that India has had to regularly update its nuclear arsenal capability because it is genuinely afraid of attack by Pakistan. Pakistan has been seen by India in the Indian mainstream narrative is that Pakistanis are nearer to the extremist Islamic State than Bangladesh ever will be, because Bangladesh has been curtailed and controlled and limited by the Indian influence. So the Indian influence on Bangladesh has been quite significant. Now I have to terminate this one.